Do you ever find yourself feeling invisible, like you're shouting into the void in a room full of people? You're not alone. Most of us have been there, craving respect but unsure how to earn it without coming across as loud, pushy, or worse, a fool. It's tempting to think that commanding attention means dominating the room or constantly proving your worth. But let me tell you something liberating. Earning respect doesn't require arrogance, theatrics, or being the loudest voice in the room. Here's the kicker. Real respect starts with how you see yourself. If you don't respect yourself first, no one else will. But self-respect doesn't mean perfection or parading your accomplishments. It's about walking into a space and owning it, like you belong. No explanations needed. Easier said than done? Maybe. But the art of commanding respect without being a jerk is simpler than you might think. It's rooted in authenticity, humility, and a dash of timeless wisdom from the Stoics. In this video, we're diving deep into actionable ways to earn respect that don't involve overpromising, pretending to be perfect, or seeking constant validation. We'll talk about how to own your flaws, handle criticism like a pro, and why humility isn't just a virtue, but a superpower. Along the way, we'll pull insights from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, names that knew a thing or two about commanding respect in life and leadership. So, if you're ready to stop trying so hard to prove yourself and start living with integrity, stick around. And hey, if this resonates with you, drop a comment below, share this with someone who could use a confidence boost, and don't forget to subscribe for more Stoic-inspired insights. Let's get started. Your authentic self is waiting to shine. 1. Respect yourself first. Let's start with the foundation, self-respect. It's easy to think respect is something that comes from others, but here's the truth. They follow your lead. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. And no, self-respect doesn't mean being perfect or showing off your achievements. It's about carrying yourself with quiet confidence, like you already belong in any room you walk into. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I was in a meeting with some big players in my industry. I was nervous, overthinking every word I said, hoping to impress them. But then it hit me. Why was I so desperate for their approval? I took a deep breath and reminded myself of something I'd read from Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Instead of trying to be someone I wasn't, I spoke authentically. And you know what? It worked. Not only did they listen, but they respected me more because I was genuine. So, here's my advice. Start by looking inward. Ask yourself, am I respecting my own boundaries, my values, my time? Because when you show up with self-respect, it's like a signal to the world. This person knows their worth, and that's magnetic. 2. Avoid overpromising. My friends, let's talk about something important. Respect doesn't come from overpromising. Yes, I'm going to say this directly to you. It doesn't. Imagine for a moment that someone made you a big promise but didn't follow through. Would you respect them? Of course not. And yet, how often do we find ourselves doing exactly that, overpromising, knowing deep down we might not deliver? Why do we do it? The answer is simple but uncomfortable. We want people to value us right now. We crave their approval so much that we say, yes, I can do that, or I'll get it done faster than anyone else. It's not because we're confident, it's because we're afraid. Afraid they won't think we're good enough unless we go above and beyond their expectations, even if it's unrealistic. But let me ask you this, has overpromising ever ended well? Let's be honest, probably not. When you fail to deliver, it doesn't just disappoint others, it makes them question your integrity. And worse, it erodes your own self-respect. You start doubting yourself, wondering why you can't seem to get it right. Here's the truth. Respect doesn't come from big, flashy promises. It comes from honesty and reliability. People don't respect someone who promises them the moon and shows up with a pebble. They respect the person who says, here's what I can do, and I'll do it well. So the next time you're tempted to say yes to something you know you can't handle, stop and think, am I doing this because it's the right thing, or because I'm afraid to disappoint them? Remember, an honest no can earn far more respect than a fake yes. And when you keep your promises, even small ones, people will take notice. They'll trust you because they know you're someone who means what they say. That, my friends, is how you build real respect. 3. Own your flaws. Let's get real, my friends. Nobody's perfect. Not me, not you, not even the people we look up to. And yet, so many of us try to hide our imperfections, thinking it will make us more respected. But here's the twist. Owning your flaws doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. And being real? That's what people respect the most. Think about it. Would you trust someone who pretends to have it all together, or someone who openly admits, yeah, I messed up, but here's what I learned from it? I don't know about you, but I'd choose the second person every time. It takes courage to be vulnerable, to show the world that you're human. Let me share a quick story. For years, I tried to appear flawless in every area of my life. I wanted people to see me as capable, reliable, and perfect. One time, I even lied about being super organized to impress a new coworker. Meanwhile, my desk was a complete disaster zone. Then one day, I got caught. My coworker walked in on me scrambling to clean up before a deadline I'd almost forgotten. I felt embarrassed, but instead of judging me, they laughed and said, "Welcome to the club. You're human like the rest of us." That moment hit me hard. I realized that all my energy spent pretending to be perfect wasn't fooling anyone. Worse, it was draining me. When I started being honest about my flaws, not only did I feel lighter, but my relationships with others improved. Why? Because people connect with authenticity, not with a fake, polished version of you. So here's my challenge to you. Stop hiding your imperfections. Laugh about them, learn from them, and let them make you stronger. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. This doesn't mean you settle for less or stop growing. It means you accept yourself as a work in progress. Remember, my friends, people don't expect you to be perfect. They expect you to be real. And when you own your flaws, you give others permission to embrace theirs too. That's the kind of authenticity that commands respect. 4. Practice humility. Friends, let's talk about humility. I know the word doesn't always get the respect it deserves. Some people hear humility and think it means shrinking yourself, downplaying your achievements, or acting like you're less capable than you really are. But let me set the record straight. Real humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. Let me share a personal story to make this real. Early in my career, I got promoted to a leadership position. I was proud of myself. And if I'm being honest, maybe a little too proud. I started walking into meetings thinking, I'm the one in charge here. But one day during a team discussion, I made a pretty big mistake, an obvious one. A junior team member pointed it out, and my ego flared up instantly. My first instinct was to defend myself, but then I caught myself. I took a breath, admitted my mistake, and thanked them for catching it. You know what happened next? The tension in the room melted away. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I gained more respect from my team because I owned up to my mistake. That moment taught me a lesson I'll never forget. Humility isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. When you're humble, people want to follow you, not because you demand it, but because they trust and respect you. As Marcus Aurelius said, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Humility keeps you grounded, even when you achieve great things, because it reminds you that life isn't just about you. It's about something bigger. Now, here's the beautiful part. Humility doesn't mean you stop striving for excellence. It just means you understand that success isn't yours alone. It's the result of the support, opportunities, and even luck that played a role in your journey. Gratitude and humility go hand in hand, and together, they make you someone others look up to. So, how can you practice humility? Start by listening more than you speak. Admit when you're wrong. Celebrate other people's successes as much as your own. And most importantly, remember this: humility doesn't dim your light, it makes your light shine brighter because it lifts others up along the way. And 5, respect others. Let's shift gears and talk about something simple yet profound: respecting others. And no, I don't just mean saying please and thank you or holding the door open. Real respect goes deeper than polite gestures. It's about recognizing the humanity in everyone you meet, even when it's not easy or convenient. Let me be honest with you, this wasn't always natural for me. I once worked with someone who was, to put it mildly, incredibly difficult. They were demanding, impatient, and dismissive of everyone's ideas. My first instinct was to mirror their energy, to respond to their rudeness with rudeness of my own. But then, something shifted. Instead of reacting, I decided to approach them with genuine respect. I listened to their frustrations without interrupting, asked thoughtful questions, and gave credit where it was due. To my surprise, their attitudes softened over time. They became less combative and more collaborative. That experience taught me a powerful lesson. Respect isn't just about how you treat people you like. It's about how you treat everyone, even those who make it hard. As Epictetus said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. When you show respect, you open the door for understanding and growth, both for yourself and for others. Now, let's get personal for a moment. Have you ever been in an argument where both sides were so focused on winning that they forgot what they were even fighting about? Nobody wins in that situation. But when someone chooses respect, even in disagreement, it changes the whole dynamic. It turns conflict into conversation. Here's the key. Respect isn't about agreeing with someone or even liking them. It's about acknowledging their intrinsic value as a human being. And when you choose to respect others, you're not just honoring them, you're honoring yourself. You're saying, I choose integrity over pettiness. So how do you practice respect in a world that often feels disrespectful? Start small. Listen without interrupting. Say thank you more often. Give credit where it's due. And most importantly, don't let someone else's bad attitude dictate your behavior. Remember, respect isn't a transaction. It's a gift you give freely. And in return, it often comes back to you in ways you least expect. 6. Handle criticism like a pro. All right, my friends, let's talk about criticism. The one thing we all dread but can't avoid. It's like that bitter medicine we know we need but hate to swallow. The truth is, how you handle criticism says more about your character than any achievement ever could. It's not easy, but if you can master this, you'll set yourself apart in ways you can't imagine. I'll share a personal story to show you what I mean. Early in my career, I worked on a project that I poured my heart into. I was confident, maybe even a little smug, when I presented it to my manager. But instead of the praise I was expecting, they handed me a list of things to fix. I felt crushed. My first reaction, anger and defensiveness. I thought, don't they see how hard I worked? But then, after that initial sting, I took a step back. I realized their feedback wasn't an attack, it was an opportunity. I made the changes they suggested, and guess what? The final version was miles better than the original. That moment taught me an invaluable lesson. Criticism isn't the enemy. In fact, it's one of the greatest tools for growth, if you're willing to use it. Here's where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. This mindset transforms criticism from a personal attack into a stepping stone for self-improvement. But let's be honest, criticism isn't always delivered kindly. That's where emotional discipline comes into play. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a breath. Step back and ask yourself, is there truth in this feedback? Can I learn from it? If the answer is yes, take it on board. If not, let it go without letting it ruin your day. Think of handling criticism as a skill. The more you practice, the better you get at separating the useful nuggets from the unnecessary noise. Over time, you'll find that criticism doesn't have the power to sting the way it used to. It becomes fuel for your growth, not a blow to your ego. So the next time someone critiques you, remember, it's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you can learn, adapt, and grow. That's the kind of resilience and humility that commands respect. Number 7. Stop trying to prove yourself. Let's get real for a second, my friends. How much of your energy is spent trying to prove yourself to others? Whether it's impressing your boss, outshining a coworker, or even getting that perfect Instagram post, we've all been there, working overtime to make sure people see our worth. But here's the hard truth. The more you try to prove yourself, the less confident you actually look. I learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I was desperate to prove I belonged. I volunteered for every project, worked late hours, and tried to impress everyone, from my boss to the office janitor. One day, after a big presentation, I overheard a coworker say, "They're trying way too hard." Ouch. That hit me like a ton of bricks. All my effort to prove myself had backfired, making me look insecure instead of capable. That moment forced me to rethink everything. Why was I so focused on earning validation from others? I realized I wasn't working to do my best. I was working to be seen as the best. And it wasn't just exhausting, it was counterproductive. Here's the lesson. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your peace. Instead of worrying about what others think, you can channel that energy into becoming the best version of yourself. Ironically, that's what truly impresses people. Authenticity, not theatrics. Marcus Aurelius puts it perfectly. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. You don't need to shout your worth from the rooftops. When you focus on living with integrity, people will notice, without you having to scream, "Look at me." Here's a practical tip. Next time you're tempted to over-explain yourself, overwork, or overdo it to impress someone, pause and ask, am I doing this because I want to, or because I feel like I have to prove myself? If it's the latter, step back. The people who matter will see your value through your actions, not your performance. And remember, my friends, the ones who demand you prove yourself, they're often the ones least worth impressing. So let go of the need to prove anything to anyone. Focus on proving one thing, that you're proud of who you are when no one's watching. Now, let's bring it all together. Everything we've talked about, self-respect, humility, handling criticism, and letting go of the need to prove yourself, boils down to this. How can we live these Stoic principles in the chaos of modern life? Here's the good news. Stoicism isn't some ancient, unreachable ideal. It's practical, grounded, and designed for the messy realities of life. Marcus Aurelius himself ruled an empire while dealing with wars, plagues, and political unrest. Sound familiar? If he could find clarity amidst all that, so can we. One key Stoic practice is to focus only on what you can control and let go of the rest. Epictetus taught, some things are up to us and some things are not. Think about how much energy we waste worrying about things we can't change. Other people's opinions, the future, or even past mistakes. The Stoics remind us, instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, channel that energy into what you can control. Your thoughts, your actions, your responses. Here's a personal example. There was a time when I let criticism or external judgments completely derail me. I'd spend hours replaying someone's comment in my head, wondering what I could have said or done differently. Then I came across this teaching from Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That simple shift in perspective was life-changing. Now, when I face criticism or challenges, I pause and ask myself, what can I actually control here? Another Stoic principle that's deeply relevant today is gratitude. Marcus Aurelius said, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. In a world where we're constantly chasing the next goal, taking time to appreciate what we already have is a radical act. Gratitude keeps us grounded and reminds us that life is a gift, even in its imperfections. Finally, Stoicism teaches us to embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth. As Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Modern life is full of obstacles, but each one is a chance to build resilience, to grow stronger, and to refine who we are. So how do we integrate all of this? Start small. Practice gratitude each morning. Pause when faced with frustration and ask, what's within my control? Embrace challenges as teachers, not threats. Bit by bit, you'll find that Stoic wisdom isn't just something you read. It becomes a way of living, a guide to navigating life's ups and downs with grace and strength.